What is likely to occur if you lift off the runway before reaching rotation speed due to ground effect? Answer: inability to climb, inability to climb, inability to climb. How do variations in temperature affect? Answer: pressure levels are raised on warm days and altitude is lower than the true altitude. Pressure levels are raised on warm days and the indicated altitude is lower than true altitude. Prior to starting each maneuver, pilots should: answer: visually scan the entire area for collision avoidance. Visually scan the entire area for collision avoidance. The information in a METAR is: answer: sequential following a prescribed format. Sequential following a prescribed format. For the figure, which altimeter indicates more than 10? Answer: 1 and 2 only. 1 and 2 only. A fast moving cold front can cause: answer: thunderstorms. Thunderstorms, thunderstorms. When the course deviation indicator CDI needle is centered during an omni receiver check using a VOR test signal VOT, the omni bearing selector OBS and the to from indicator should read: answer: 0 degrees from or 180 degrees to, regardless of the pilot's position from the VOT. 0 from or 180 degrees to, regardless of pilot's position from the VOT. When should pilots state their on the airport when calling the tower for takeoff? Answer: when departing from runway intersection. When departing from runway intersection. Refer to Figure 22, Area 1. The visit requirements to operate VFR during daylight hours over Sandpoint Airport at 1,200 feet AGL are 1,200 feet AGL are 3 miles, 1,000 feet above, 500 feet below, and 2,000 feet horizontally from each cloud. 3 miles, 1,000 feet above, 500 feet below, 2,000 feet horizontally from each cloud. For the Figure 71. Your planned flight overflies the Class C Sacramento International Airport, SMF, from west to east at a cruising altitude of 9,500 MSL. Does the flight require ADS-B out equipment? Answer: yes, the flight requires ADS-B out equipment. Yes, flight requires ADS-B out equipment. Humid air at the surface, especially in summer, can cause: answer: instability, the formation of afternoon thunderstorms. Instability, the formation of afternoon thunderstorms. Refer to, refer to Figure 14. The intensity and type of icing reported by a pilot is: answer: light to moderate ream. Light to moderate ream. Most otherwise authorized. Two-way radio communication with air traffic control are required for landings or takeoffs. Answer: at all tower-controlled airports, regardless of weather conditions. At all tower-controlled airports, regardless of weather conditions. On landing, your tire blows and the wheel is dented. What action is required to comply with NTSB Part 830? Answer: no notification or report is required. No notification or report is required. Your tire blows and wheel dented. Which statement is most correct regarding form of drag? Answer: form drag increases as airspeed increases. Form drag increases as airspeed increases. Which weather phenomenon is also always associated with a thunderstorm? Answer: lightning, lightning, lightning. Thunderstorm, lightning. What should be the indication in the magnetic compass as you roll into a standard right turn to the right from a south heading in the northern hemisphere? Answer: the compass will indicate a turn to the right, but at a faster rate than the actual occurring turn. When approaching a taxiway, holding lines from the side with continuous lines, the pilot answer: should not cross the lines without ATC clearance. Should not cross the lines without ATC clearance. Susceptibility to carbon monoxide poisoning increases as answer: altitude increases, altitude increases. Cross country flight point A at 1500 hours, and the plan is to reach point B. The following information to determine the airspeed required to reach each point scheduled. Distance between A and B, 70 nautical miles. Forecast wind, 30, 310 degrees at 15 knots. Pressure, 8,000 feet. Ambient temperature, negative 10 degrees Celsius. True course, 270 degrees. Answer: 137 knots, 137 knots. If it is necessary to set the altimeter from 29.15 to 29.85, what change occurs? Answer: 700 feet, 700 foot increase in indicated altitude. 700 foot increase in indicated altitude. What is the best course of action right after the engine quits in flight? What is the best course of action right after the engine quits in flight? Answer: use the emergency checklist if practical. Use the emergency checklist if practical. What are the reporting requirements for a pilot convicted of possessing or selling marijuana? Answer: he must report the offense to the FAA Medical or Aeromedical Certification Division when applying for medical certificate. He must report the offense to the FAA Aeromedical Certification Division when applying for a medical certificate. What if it was legal? Not that I do any of that stuff. If a pilot suspects the engine with a fixed pitch propeller is detonating during climb out after takeoff, the initial corrective action to take would be: answer: lower the nose slightly to increase airspeed. Lower the nose slightly to increase airspeed. A blue segmented circle on a sectional chart depicts which class airspace. Blue segmented circle on a sectional chart depicts which class of airspace. Answer: Class D, Class D, Class D. If a pilot ignores fuel reserve requirements, the situation might be caused by: answer: lack of flight planning, flight planning, lack of flight planning. For internal cooling, reciprocating aircraft engines are especially dependent on: answer: circulation of lubricating oil. Circulation of lubricating oil. At approximately what altitude above the surface would the pilot expect the base of cumuliform clouds if the surface air temperature is 82 degrees Fahrenheit and the dew point is 38 degrees Fahrenheit? Answer: 10,000 feet AGL, 10,000 feet AGL, 10,000 feet AGL. A pilot and two passengers land 2,100 foot east west gravel strip with an elevation of 1,800 feet. The temperature is warmer than expected, and after computing the density altitude and determining the distance over a 50-foot obstacle is 1,980 feet. The airplane is 75 pounds under gross weight. What would be the best choice? Wait until the temperature decreases and recalculate the takeoff performance. Wait until the temperature decreases and recalculate takeoff performance. Refer to figure 36. With a reported wind of south at 20 knots, which runway 10, 14, or 24 is appropriate for an airplane with a 13 knot maximum crosswind component? Answer 14 knots, 14 knots, 14 knots. Runway 14, runway 14, runway. The vertical limit of Class C airspace above primary airport is normally answer 4,000 feet AGL, 4,000 feet AGL, 4,000 feet AGL. Refer to figure 35. Determine the approximate manifold pressure setting with 2,450 RPM to achieve 65% maximum continuous power at 6,500 feet with a temperature of 36 degrees Fahrenheit, higher than the standard. Answer 21 inches of mercury, 21 inches of mercury, 21 inches of mercury. Answer denial of an application for an FAA certificate of rating. Denial of an application for FAA certificate of rating. What are the aircraft inspection requirements when receiving dual instruction in a rental airplane at a flight school? Answer: annual inspection and 100-hour inspection. Annual inspection, 100-hour inspection. When activated, an emergency locator transmitter transmits on. Answer: 121.5 and 243 121.5 and 243 megahertz. For the figure 72, the positive limit load factor is represented by the horizontal dashed lines from C to E, point E. Horizontal dashed line, point C to point E. Under which conditions will pressure altitude be equal to true altitude? Under which conditions will pressure altitude be equal to true altitude? Answer: when standard atmospheric condition exists. When standard atmospheric conditions exist. Under what circumstances might an aircraft be in operation during the day at an airport with an air traffic control tower? Answer: when ground visibility is less than 3 miles and or ceiling is less than 1,000 feet. When ground visibility is less than 3 miles or when ceiling is less than 1,000 feet. B can be on. If you land without the use of flaps, the approach will be answer: faster and shallower, faster and shallower. Non-controlled firing of the fuel air charge in advance of normal ignition, pre-ignition. The constant speed propeller is more efficient than other propellers because answer: it allows selection of most efficient engine RPM for the given condition. Allows selection for the most efficient engine RPM for the given condition. Minimum flight visibility required for VFR flights above 1,000 feet MSL and more than 1,200 feet AGL is controlled airspace is answer: 5 miles, 5 miles, 5 miles. Select the 4 flight fundamentals involved in maneuvering an aircraft. Answer: straight and level flights, true, turns, climbs, and descents. Straight and level flights, turns, climbs, and descents. Preventative maintenance has been performed on an aircraft. What paperwork is required? Answer: the signature, certificate number, and kind of certificate held by the person approving the work and description of the work must be entered in the aircraft maintenance records. The signature. In the northern hemisphere, magnetic compass will normally indicate a turn towards the south wind. Answer: the aircraft is decelerating while on a west heading. Heading. If faced with an emergency where air traffic control assistance is desired and not already in contact, which frequency can be used to establish communications? 121.5 megahertz, 121.5 megahertz. The straight and level flight, if thrust exceeds drag, then? Answer, speed increases, speed increases. Refer to figure 49. In flying over the airport, you notice the position of the tetrahedron and segmented circles. What runway and traffic pattern entry should you use? Right-handed traffic, runway 18. Right-handed traffic dropped from an aircraft. Answer, if precautions are taken to avoid injury or damage to a person or property on the surface. Precautions are taken to avoid injury and damage to persons or property on the surface. When must current pilot certificate be in the pilot's personal possession or readily accessible in the aircraft? Answer, anytime when acting as pilot in command or as a required crew member. Anytime acting as pilot command or as a required crew member. For figure 24, area 2, when minimum altitude is necessary to vertically clear the obstacle on the southeast side of Winnsboro Airport by 500 feet. Answer, 1,403 MSL, 1,403 MSL. If an altimeter setting is not available before flight, in which altitude should the pilot adjust the altimeter? Answer, the elevation of the departure area. The elevation of the departure area. What should an owner operator know about airworthiness directives? Answer, they are mandatory, they are mandatory. For figure 4, what is the maximum structural cruising speed? Answer, 165 knots, 165 knots. You must notify NTSB immediately if the following occurs. Answer, in-flight fire, in-flight fire. Completion of an annual condition inspection and the return of the aircraft to service should always be indicated by. Answer, an appropriate notation in the aircraft maintenance records. An appropriate notation in the aircraft maintenance records. The only north-seeking instrument in a typical training airplane is. Answer, the magnetic compass. The magnetic compass. If you are on approach and picking up half-inch of ream ice on the leading edge of your wings, you should consider. Answer, a faster than normal approach and landing speed. A faster than normal approach and landing speed. The ground reference maneuver rectangular course represents. Answer, an airport traffic pattern. Airport traffic pattern. Moist, stable air on upslope can be expected to. Answer, produce stratus type clouds. Produce stratus clouds. Detonation may occur at high power settings when. Answer, fuel mixture ignites instantaneously instead of burning progressively and evenly. Detonation may occur at high power settings when fuel mixture ignites instantaneously instead of burning progressively and evenly. Refer to figure 19. What altitude is the freezing level over the middle of Florida on a 12-hour significant weather prognostic chart? Answer, 12,000 feet, 12,000 feet, 12,000 feet. For figure 17, what wind is forecast for Seattle STL at 9,000 feet? Answer, 230 true, 32 knots, 230 true, 32 knots. While operating basic med, the pilot in command must have visited a primary care physician within the preceding 48 calendar months. 48 calendar months. You must turn on your anti-collision lights. Answer, day and night, except when the pilot in command determines that there constitutes a hazard to safety. Except when the pilot in command determines it constitutes a hazard to safety. The most complete and up-to-date information regarding an airport can be found in. Answer, supplemental chart publication. Supplemental chart publication. You must notify NTSB if there has been substantial damage. Answer, which adversely affects structural and strength or flight characteristics. Structural strength or flight characteristics. In addition to other pre-flight actions, VFR flight, always away from the vicinity of the departure airport. Regulations specifically require a pilot in command to answer determine runway lengths, airports of intended use, and the aircraft takeoff landing distance data. So runway lengths at the airports of intended use and the aircraft takeoff and landing distance data. Which records or document shall the owner or operator of an aircraft keep to show compliance with applicable worthiness directive? Answer: aircraft maintenance records, aircraft maintenance records. An approved chair type parachute may be carried in an aircraft for emergency use if it has been packed by an appropriately rated parachute rigger within the preceding answer 180 days, 180 days, 180 days. Which is true concerning the blue and magenta colors used to depict airports on sectional aeronautical charts. Answer: airports control towers underlying Class B, C, D, and E airspace are shown in blue. Airports with control towers underlying Class B, C, D, and E airspace are shown in blue. Overlying Fort Worth may keep airspace to 3,200 feet MSL. Class D airspace to 3,200 feet MSL. Which approach and landing objective is assured when the pilot remains in the proper glide path of the missile? Answer: safe obstruction clearance in the approach area. Safe obstruction clearance in the approach area. Most mid-air collision accidents occur during answer: clear days, clear days, clear days. When an air traffic controller issues radar traffic information in relation to the 12-hour clock, the reference the controller uses in the aircraft is how should the flow be held while taxiing a tricycle gear quits airplane into a left quartering headwind? Answer: aileron left aileron up, elevator up. Left aileron up to the wind. Aileron up to the wind. With elevator up for tricycle gear. Parasite drag increases when airspeed is answer: increased, increased, increased. If an unstable air mass is forced upward, what type of cloud can be expected? Answer: clouds with considerable vertical development and associated turbulence. Clouds with considerable vertical development and associated turbulence. How will wind affect your engine out gliding distance? Answer: tailwind increases gliding distance. Tailwind increases gliding distance. The load factor in a level coordinated turn with 60 degrees of bank is answer: 2 G's, 2 G's, 2 G's, 2.00 G's. Refer to figure 32 and 33. Upon landing, the front passenger 100 pounds departs the airplane. The rear passenger 204 pounds moves to the front passenger position. What effect does this have on the center of gravity if the airplane weighed 2,690 pounds and the moment divided by 100 was 2,260 just prior to the passenger's transfer? Answer: the CG moves forward approximately 3 inches. The CG moves forward approximately 3 inches. When making routine transponder code changes, pilot should in advertent selection of which code. Answer: 7,500, 7,500, 7,500. If you want your wind, ground track, and blank to be the same. Answer: course, course, course. What preparation should a pilot make to adapt the eyes for flying at night? Answer: avoid bright white light for at least 30 minutes before the flight. Avoid bright white light for at least 30 minutes before the flight. Every physical process of weather is accompanied by or as a result of answer: heat exchange, heat exchange, heat exchange. During a night flight, you observe a steady red light and a flashing red light ahead at the same altitude. The general direction of movement of the aircraft is Answer: the other aircraft is crossing to the left. The other aircraft is crossing to the left. Refer to figure 23. The flag symbols Streetsboro, Bullock County Airport, Claxton Evans County Airport, and Ridgeland Airport are. Answer: visual checkpoints to identify position for initial call up prior to entering Savannah Class C airspace. Visual checkpoints to identify call prior to entering Savannah Class C airspace. Which of the following is the first step the decide model for effective risk management and aeronautical decision making? Answer: detect, detect, detect. When making a night approach to land, you should use answer the same approach as during the daytime. Same approach as during the daytime. ATC instructs you to line up and wait for takeoff on runway 12 while other heavy airplanes land on runway 7R. While waiting on runway 12, you observe the jet touchdown past the runway intersection. How will the vertices affect your takeoff? The winds are from 120 degrees and at 5 knots. At 5 knots, vertices will be pushed into your takeoff path. The vertices will be pushed into your takeoff path. Refer to Figure 50. The segmented circle indicates that land on runway 26 will be with. Answer: right headwind. Figure 7. How should a pilot determine the direction of bank from an attitude indicator such as one illustrated? Answer: by the relationship of the miniature airplane C to the deflected horizon bar B. By the relationship of the miniature airplane C to the deflected horizon bar B. If a certified pilot changes permanent mailing address and fails to notify FAA Airman Certification Branch of the new address, is entitled to exercise privileges of a pilot certificate for a period of only. Answer: 30 days after the date of move. 30 days after the date of move. The use of flaps is slow and slow flight is the use of flaps in slow flight. Answer: may be used. May be used. May be used. The aircraft had 100-hour inspection when the tachometer read 1,259.6. When is the next 100-hour inspection due? 1,359.6 hours. Which best describes the flight conditions under which flight crew members are specifically required to keep their safety belts and shoulder harnesses fastened? Which best describes the flight conditions under which flight crew members are specifically required to keep their safety belts and shoulder harnesses fastened? Answer: safety belts during takeoff and landing and while en route. Shoulder harnesses during takeoff and landing. Safety belts during takeoff, shoulder harnesses during takeoff and landing. The aircraft that always has is in your airplane to fly in Class A airspace. Which of the following avionics equipment is required to be installed in your airplane to fly in Class A airspace? Answer: ADS-B out, ADS-B out, ADS-B out equipment. Which instrument is affected if the pitot tube is blocked? Airspeed indicator, airspeed indicator, airspeed indicator. Refer to Figure 36. What is the headwind component for landing on runway 18 if the tower reports wind at 220 degrees at 30 knots? Answer: 23 knots, 23 knots, 23 knots. Which restriction applies to the private pilot flying without current medical certification or the guidance of basic med? You may not operate an airplane for compensation or hire. You may not operate an airplane for compensation or hire. The danger of spatial disorientation during flight is in poor visual conditions may be reduced by answering: having faith in the instruments rather than taking a chance on sensory organs. Having faith in the instruments rather than taking a chance on sensory organs. Wingtip vertices are created only when the aircraft is. Answer: developing lift, developing lift, developing lift. Refer to Figure 70, Area 5. In order to avoid Livermore, the Livermore Airport. What minimum altitude could you use to fly over it? Answer 2,901 feet MSL, 2,901 feet MSL. Control space is Class G airspace. To operate in Class G airspace, the day visibility requirement for flight above 1,200 feet HAL and below 10,000 feet MSL is answer 1 mile, 1 mile, 1 mile. What effect will landing with a tailwind have during an increased landing distance, increased landing distance, increased landing distance? Who is responsible for ensuring airworthiness directives are complied with? Answer owner operator, owner operator, owner operator. Refer to figure 70, area 4. We are flying from Nosfield Airport, DVO, to the private airport of San Rafael at 3,500 feet. To meet your friend. What additional equipment does your aircraft need, if any? Answer ADS-B out, ADS-B out, ADS-B out. What feature is associated with the temperature inversion? Answer a stable layer of air, stable layer of air, stable layer of air. Each person operating an aircraft at a VFR cruising altitude shall maintain an odd 1,000 plus 500 feet at altitude while on a answer magnetic course 0 to 179 degrees, 0 to 179 degrees, 0 to 179 degrees, the right side of the compass, right side of the compass. Excessively high engine temperatures will answer cause low power, excessive oil consumption, and possible permanent internal engine damage. Cause loss of power, excessive oil consumption, and possible permanent internal damage, engine damage. What is the purpose of a runway hold position marking on a taxiway? Answer identifies where aircraft holds short in runway of the runway. Identifies where aircraft holds short of the runway. After purchasing an airplane from a dealer, is it legal to fly away using the dealer's aircraft registration? No. Answer no. The airplane must be first registered to new owner. The airplane must be first registered to new owner. Refer to figure 4.7. While on final approach to a runway equipped with standard 2-bar VASI, the lights appear as shown by illustration D. This means the aircraft is answer below the glide slope, below the glide slope, below the glide slope. What is an absolute altitude? Answer the vertical distance of the aircraft above the surface. The vertical distance of the aircraft above the surface. If there is a thunderstorm activity in the vicinity of an airport at which you plan to land, which hazardous atmospheric phenomenon might be expected on landing approach? Wind shear turbulence, wind shear turbulence, wind shear turbulence. Radar weather reports are specific interest to pilots because they indicate answer, location, or of precipitation, along with the type of intensity of cell movement, precipitation. Location of precipitation, along with type and ensure